There are places we were never meant to see, spaces that exist beyond reason, hidden between the cracks of our own world. The Backrooms are one such place, a liminal, endless, impossible labyrinth of yellowed walls, buzzing fluorescent lights, and damp, mold-stained carpets. It is a place whispered about in the corners of the internet, an urban legend that became something far more unsettling. What if it's real? What if somewhere just out of sight there is a space where the rules of reality are bent, stretched, or altogether forgotten? It begins with a fall, one wrong step, one unnoticed seam in reality, and you're gone. The term for this is no clipping, a borrowed phrase from video games where characters fall through unintended gaps in the world, slipping into the void beneath. In the Backrooms, no clipping is no mere glitch, it is a horrifying fate. Those who find themselves here are alone, cut off from the world they knew, trapped in an endless series of monotonous, decaying rooms. The air is thick with the scent of mildew and old carpet, the hum of the flickering lights, a ceaseless, droning backdrop to the unsettling silence. But the horror of the Backrooms isn't just in its vast emptiness, it is in the sense that you are not alone. The footage we have, the found clips, the shaky, grainy recordings of terrified explorers paints a grim picture. In Kane Pixel's work, we see glimpses of something more structured, something more sinister. The first video, simply titled The Backrooms Found Footage, thrusts us into this world through the lens of a lost cameraman who suddenly finds himself in this impossible maze. What begins as a surreal, disorienting wander through the desolate halls quickly descends into something much darker. The walls seem to shift, the angles of the architecture feel wrong, subtly skewed in ways the human eye struggles to process, and then comes the sound. A deep, guttural growl from somewhere in the distance. It's not just the empty space that haunts the Backrooms, there are things here, things that should not be. As the cameraman runs, breath ragged, the entity pursues. It is fast, unnatural, its movements a grotesque mockery of human motion. We never get a clear view, only flickers of something twisted, something impossible, and then as suddenly as it began, the pursuit is over. The man falls, no clipping again, this time into darkness. The footage ends, but the questions remain. Where is this place? Who built it? And perhaps most disturbingly, has someone been here before? Because scattered throughout the Backrooms, hidden in its abandoned halls, are signs of something deeply unsettling. Desks and chairs left in strange configurations, notes scrawled in the margins of old, water-damaged paper, rusted out filing cabinets filled with documents that hint at an organization, a group that studied this place, categorized it. And if they studied it, that means they had a way in. And if they had a way in, they had a way out. The footage continues, not just one video, but a slow trickle of fragmented records, archival tapes, corporate logs, and more glimpses into the vast, impossible halls of the Backrooms. The more we see, the more we realize that this place is not simply a void, it is something constructed, something studied, something managed. Kane Pixel's next entries in the series pull us deeper into the enigma. A file titled March 11th Archive shifts our perspective. No longer are we just seeing through the eyes of lost wanderers. We are now seeing footage from an organization known as the Async Research Institute. This is where the horror takes a different turn. The Backrooms, it seems, were discovered, not merely stumbled into. The people at Async were attempting something monumental. Something that, had it succeeded, would have changed the very nature of space as we know it. They call it the Low Proximity Magnetic Distortion System, a project meant to revolutionize storage, creating infinite space within a finite area. A warehouse-sized room capable of holding the resources of an entire city. A scientific breakthrough. But the breakthrough became a breach. The experiment went wrong. The footage dated 1990 shows a team stepping through a massive, unnatural opening in a concrete wall, an aperture leading directly into the Backrooms. It is not the glitchy, sudden no-clipping that victims experience. This is structured, deliberate, calculated, and yet even the scientists and engineers seem unsure. They move with caution, scanning the area with flashlights, calling out to each other as they step into the endless halls. A discovery like this should have been world-changing, but instead it became a disaster. Something is very, very wrong with the backrooms. The walls do not behave like walls should. Distances are inconsistent. Rooms stretch and collapse like the shifting corridors of a dream. The scientists test the acoustics, clapping and listening for echoes, but there are none. Sound is absorbed, swallowed, and then they find something, a body. Or rather, something that was once a body, a crumpled, decayed figure dressed in a uniform that suggests he was an earlier explorer. Someone who had been here long before Async. The sight of him is enough to halt the research team in their tracks. This was supposed to be an empty space. No life, no presence, just an abandoned void, but now they are staring at a corpse, left to rot in a time where time itself seems unstable. The footage cuts. Async continues their experiments. They map the area, push further, set up outposts, but no matter how much they study, they do not understand it. Their instruments fail, their measurements contradict themselves, and worse, things start going missing. First, it's equipment, cameras, tools, entire workstations vanishing overnight without a trace. Then it's people. Employees enter the backrooms and do not return. One by one, they are swallowed by the shifting void. Async should have stopped. They should have shut the project down, but something compels them to continue. Maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's arrogance, or maybe it's because they are no longer in control. The deeper Async pushes into the backrooms, the less stable reality becomes. What started as an experimental marvel, a supposed revolution in spatial engineering, has transformed into something disturbing. The footage tells us everything we need to know, though the researchers themselves seem unwilling to accept the truth. One particular entry, Pitfalls, captures this descent into madness with eerie precision. The video opens as a lone researcher moves through the familiar yellow corridors, his flashlight scanning the endless expanse. But the halls are shifting, elongating, and warping in ways that defy physics. The ground beneath him collapses suddenly, sending him plummeting into a vast industrial abyss below. This is something new. The backrooms aren't just the same looping halls, they aren't even a singular place. There are levels, layers of architecture buried beneath the familiar yellow walls, some resembling office spaces, others stretching into impossible caverns of pipes, machinery, and suffocating darkness. And they are not empty. Async's research logs continue to pile up, their reports increasingly erratic, structural inconsistencies, unaccounted disappearances, malfunctions that defy explanation. The deeper they explore, the more anomalies they encounter, things that move in the periphery of the camera, shapes that seem just barely human lurking in the distance. Then comes report. This tape, dry and cynical, is nothing short of a revelation. It confirms what the footage has been hinting at all along. Async is failing to contain whatever they have unleashed. The backrooms are expanding, bleeding into reality. Anomalies are appearing outside the designated research zones. There are reports of flickering, unexplained spaces opening within their facility, moments where walls seem to stretch, where rooms appear where they shouldn't exist. The footage is grainy, a static security feed, but there it is, a dark humanoid figure moving just beyond the entrance to the backrooms. Async has been so focused on mapping and studying this space that they've ignored the most important question of all. They assumed it was empty, but they were wrong. Something has been watching them, waiting, learning, and now it's here. The final revelation is the most chilling of all. Async's containment efforts have failed. What was once thought to be a confined, controllable anomaly is spreading. The backrooms are leaking into reality, and reality itself is beginning to collapse under the weight of its presence. In damaged tape, the footage is degraded, almost unwatchable, as if the act of recording within the backrooms has started to corrode the technology. A lone researcher stumbles through corridors that now seem more alive than ever, walls twitching with unseen movement, shadows stretching in unnatural ways, and then suddenly a sound, a low, guttural drone echoing through the void. The researcher turns a corner. There is something there. It moves, but not in a way that suggests simple locomotion. Its body bends and folds in on itself, shifting unnaturally as it lurches forward. It doesn't walk, it exists, and it sees him. The footage ends in an eruption of static. At this point, Async is no longer conducting research, they are scrambling. Motion detected reveals the horrifying truth. Anomaly breaches are occurring outside the test facility. It's not just contained within the backrooms anymore. There are incidents, people disappearing, reports of impossible architecture forming in the real world. Async's security team begin locking down sections of the facility, but it's futile. The backrooms are no longer an experiment, they are no longer an anomaly, they are growing. And then the final transmission, the most cryptic, most terrifying piece of evidence in the entire archive. A shot of the facility itself abandoned, dust settling in empty halls, lights flickering in rooms that should have been occupied, and somewhere deep within the building, the unmistakable hum of fluorescent lighting. The backrooms have won. Async thought they had discovered a gateway to unlimited space, a scientific marvel that would redefine reality, but they never stopped to ask the most important question. What if it was never meant to be found? What if the backrooms aren't just a glitch, but something far older? Something that has been waiting, watching, growing, and now it is here, and there is no way back. The backrooms are more than just an urban legend. They are a manifestation of liminality, an eerie in-between space that defies conventional reality. While the popular narrative often focuses on the endless yellow hallways, the lore has evolved into a sprawling mythos filled with different levels, entities, and organizations attempting to understand or survive this strange dimension. The origins of the backrooms concept first surfaced in 2019 on an anonymous 4chan thread. A user posted a grainy, unsettling image of an empty, yellow-lit room accompanied by the description of an endless, inescapable space that one could fall into by no-clipping out of reality. This single post ignited a wildfire of speculation, expanding into a community-driven horror mythos that merged elements of cosmic horror, found footage storytelling, and online folklore. What makes the backrooms so terrifying is its universality. Everyone has seen a place like this before. Office buildings, hotels, childhood homes, uncanny, liminal spaces that feel familiar but wrong. This shared unease fuels the mystery, making the backrooms a psychological horror setting as much as a physical one. Many believe that the backrooms consist only of level 0, the monotonous yellow maze, but the full mythos details hundreds of levels, each with its own unique properties, dangers, and physics-defying anomalies. Some notable levels are level 0, which is the classic backrooms, endless yellow hallways, buzzing fluorescent lights, a sense of general unease. Level 1, an industrial-style warehouse filled with metal corridors, occasional pools of stagnant water, and an omnipresent feeling of being watched. Level 2, a vast system of mechanical tunnels where the heat is unbearable, and the deeper you go, the louder the sound of unseen machinery becomes. Level 4 and 5 both resemble empty offices and abandoned hotels. These spaces introduce a new horror. The idea that somewhere people may have once lived here, but where are they now? The backrooms are not just an infinite hallway, they are an ecosystem, a forgotten architecture of the unreal, stretching beyond what the human mind can comprehend. There are 3 popular theories about the backrooms. Number 1, a parallel reality. Some believe that backrooms exist as a shadow dimension, an accidental byproduct of reality's architecture. Number 2, an artificial construct. Some theories suggest that the backrooms might be an experiment gone wrong, possibly a military or scientific facility that lost control over a spatial anomaly. And number 3, a cosmic horror entity. A more disturbing possibility is that the Backrooms are alive, feeding off lost wanderers and shifting its structure like a living organism. Each theory unveils new possibilities and more disturbing implications. The lore is vast, and this is only the beginning.